Hey folks, today we're going to talk about the best used car on the market right now, and I just happen to have three of them. So about a year ago, I did a video on the best used car and asking if the Chevy Cruze was it. A lot of you guys chimed into that video, and I'm going to leave that right up here. A lot of mixed emotions. Either you loved it or you hated it. There was very few in-betweens, but there's a lot of people who say that they've got lots of mileage out of them and they're very pleased. Others were saying they had so many problems. And in that video, I explained some of the problems that we knew of, but that they were still our #1 selling vehicle. Today, we're talking about, in my opinion, what the best used car is. So if you have a son or daughter coming up looking for their driver's license and you want to know what the best used car on the market is for the money, in my opinion, it is the 2006 to 2012 Ford Fusions. Now, obviously not this one. This is just a parts car because we are selling lots of these things. We buy just about every Fusion we can get our hands on. This one had a little bit of an accident, but we bought it back from the customer because, well, we've been able to rob all kinds of parts off of it. But we do have this 2010 currently available on our lot. It is ready to roll. And this 2012 all-wheel drive that we're currently working on. Now, one of the reasons why these Ford Fusions tend to be such a great vehicle is because in this generation of Ford Fusion, the first generation, they were basically partnered with the Mazda 6. So the Mazda 6 and the Ford Fusion share a lot of components, including engines and suspension. And on the outside and the inside, they look a little bit different, but the drivetrain is essentially all the same. So when we're doing work on these cars, we're basically only doing things like regular maintenance, oil changes, we're doing tires, we're doing brakes, but we're not doing a lot of suspension parts, we're not doing a lot of wheel bearings, we're not doing a lot of engine components. The cost of ownership on these things is very, very low. Not to mention the fact that when you go to buy them, the price of these is very reasonable compared to some of the foreign cars that would be out there like the Mazda 6. Now, powertrain options. On these cars, there was an option for 3 different engines. This was the base 2.5. The earlier ones were the 2.3. Made it up with an automatic or a manual transmission. If you went with the SEL, you could also get a 3-liter V6, which was the same 3-liter V6 that you got in the Mazda 6. And then if you went with the Sport model, you could also get the 3.5-liter with the all-wheel drive. Now, the one that we have in the shop is the 3-liter all-wheel drive, and these things, even in the 2.5 variation, had plenty of power to get the job done. This car here is the 3rd time I've owned this particular car. I bought it initially, sold it to my brother-in-law, and he bought it and swore it was a V6. I said, no, it's not, it's just a 4-cylinder. He traded this one in for an SEL with leather and all the goodies. He then traded that in for a family vehicle, something bigger, for his growing family. Now, a few of the common things to look for on these Ford Fusions when you're looking to buy one is rust, especially if you're in the Rust Belt or if you're on the coastal New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI here in Canada, Newfoundland. Rocker panels are very, very common, and depending on how far gone they are, you might end up rebuilding the inside rocker as well. This car, we had to do rockers. The other thing that we have to look for is the transmission cooler lines are up front, right underneath this front bumper, and basically kind of right up in here. So they get a lot of road salt and they will end up leaking. This car was no exception. When we brought it in here, we ended up having to replace the transmission cooler lines across the front. They were weeping pretty bad, so we got those in time before it started causing any issues. As we make our way inside this car, now these things had quite a few different combinations of power seats. This one's just got the power forward and up and down. Some had power recline, some had lumbar. Plenty of storage. You got door pockets in every door. You got a little change pocket right here. You've got a console, and you've got a glove box over there. Now, I'm 6'2", as I've told you guys before, and in this car, being a mid-sized car, there's still plenty of room. Your leg's not always cramped up against the console. There's lots of buttons here, not to get you confused or anything. Once you figure out what's what down here, you've got your manually operated air conditioning, and up here you've got your radio controls. This car is equipped with Microsoft Sync. Talking about storage, there's another compartment up on the top of the dash. Also, on more than any other car that we ever sold ever, these plastic door handles tend to be problematic on the Ford Fusions. And it's slightly because of the design of the door. The handle is way up front, which means when you go to get out, you've got to pull on it here and then kind of use your elbow to open up the door. But by then you've already got quite a bit of leverage yanking on that plastic handle. We've replaced quite a few of these, and I think we even have one in stock. And this particular one on this car, we replaced with that scrapped Fusion that we've got sitting out back. So this is common. So just remember, when you go to open the doors on these things, just lightly and give it a shove open there with your elbow. Now, as I said earlier, you could get these cars equipped as well or as little as you wanted, right from a 4-cylinder with a manual transmission, or all the way up with the big V6, the all-wheel drive, the 18-inch wheels, the monochrome grills, all that good stuff. As far as I'm concerned, the 2.5 or 2.3 and 2.5 series engines, the 4 cylinders, as well as the 3 liters, were pretty much bulletproof. They didn't have a lot of troubles with those. You get into the 3.5, and we haven't had too many of them, so I really can't say for sure. But if you're looking for fuel economy, no matter what, the 6-cylinder and the 4-cylinder were both real decent on fuel. These 4 cylinders probably giving you somewhere pretty close to 37 miles to the gallon. So in the back seat, you still got plenty of room for a growing family. This one even has an armrest that folds down with a couple of cup holders in it. And just like most vehicles nowadays, it does have the seat locks, that those seats will fold forward. And of course, you've got your spare tire and everything underneath the flap. So another common thing that you'll find on these Ford Fusions is, well, this. You'll notice that they don't have a fuel cap on them. It just has that little flap in there. And on this car here, it's no exception. It does have a message on the screen that tells you to check the filler cap. I believe that that is something to do with emissions and possibly the fuel purge valve. We generally don't worry about it. It does not affect fuel economy. It does not affect the performance of the vehicle. And it's just one more thing that you have to spend money on a cheap used car that increases the price. So it's nothing to worry about. So I wouldn't worry about it. But if you're inclined to dig a little deeper, I think if you look for the purge valve, you'll find it less likely the cause. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. So mom and dad, if you're out there looking for a really good, reliable vehicle for your son or daughter, and it's time to get them out of your vehicle, please consider the Ford Fusion. There's lots to offer. They're generally cheaper to buy than most other foreign vehicles. And I've often coined this car as the best car Ford ever made by mistake. See, in 2013, when they switched to the 2nd generation Fusion, I don't think that they work as good or are as reliable as the 1st generation. So I hope a lot of this information helps you out when it comes to finding out what the best used car is for your son or daughter, or as a second vehicle for yourself even. So make sure you consider the Ford Fusion. Guys, I do these videos to help you out, and I hope that this has been some good information. So if you like this, make sure you tune in, make sure you subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Olde Carr Guy. Guys, stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. I love you, God bless. Let's do it again real soon.